March doesn't arrive all at once. It begins in sharp light and cold mornings, and softens almost imperceptibly as the days unfold and the soft light returns. The days are stretching now, almost without notice, mornings coming a little earlier, evenings lingering longer. There's a softness returning to the landscape. The earth loosening, hedgerows are full of life. A chorus of birds threading their song into the stillness. And among it all, the spring flowers, bright against the pale grass, catching the light as it moves across the field. Small signs of the season settling in all around us. Hello, welcome back to Blackthorn Cottage. My name's Anna and I'm a flower grower and florist based in Northumberland. And today I am in the Wild Daffodil Woods. This is one of my favourite places to walk. And so I've come here with my dog Frank, which I think you can just about see him. He's just having a lie down in the leaves. And we've come after work for a little walk through these beautiful woods to have a look at all the wild daffodils, which are in full flower at the minute. They are so beautiful. Here in the UK at this time of year, all of the towns and villages and roundabouts are absolutely covered in daffodils, and they're very beautiful, very jolly, but there's something about wild daffodils. They're very small, much smaller than common daffodils, and they're quite rare in the UK. These are the most wild daffodils I've ever found in a wood. And it's so lovely to see them en masse like this. I'm growing some in my garden, but they've been quite slow to get going. So I think next year I might plant them in the green, which is just a way of planting bulbs to get them a bit more established. So I think next year I'll do that. It's the middle of March, so it's very early spring, and so I thought I would make this video all about the early signs of spring and spring flowers and sowing seeds and making a spring arrangement and all those sorts of things. But in the meantime, I think we might hang out here for a little bit by the stream and just enjoy being in the woods. What do you think? Hey, so it's a few days later and I'm out in the greenhouse and it's a really beautiful spring day, and I've cleared all of my seedlings off this bench and the bench behind me, so it's sort of a bit less than half of my hardy annuals and all of my autumn sown sweet peas, and I'm giving them a bit of a sunbathe because I think it's really important to, when you can, if you've got things that have been in the greenhouse, just getting them outside for some fresh air I think is really, really important. And I've cleared my bench, which is really, really good, because I need to pot up some dahlias, my dahlia tubers. So I've got a big pile of dahlia tubers and I'm just mixing some coir in with my compost. So I've read like a few different things about compost recipes, and I'm not very good at following recipes or instructions in general. So I've kind of improvised a little bit. So this is kind of a mixture of a few different florists who I follow's recipes. So it's just a really, excuse me, it's just a really nice quality organic compost, seed compost. And I'm mixing in some coir, see, a good few handfuls of vermiculite and perlite. And then I've got all of my dahlia tubers this year I've got from Sarah Raven. I sometimes get them from Halls for Headon as well, who are a local dahlia breeder. And I haven't got any this year, but I think I might go and buy them as small plants from them, because they breed some really beautiful dahlia varieties. But I'll tell you which ones I've got today. I've got a few different collections actually. I quite like the Sarah Raven collections of dahlias. So I've got Dahlia Cornell Bronze. That's a beautiful one. I've grown that before. Dahlia Sissinghurst. Dahlia Peaches. Dahlia Dahlia La Recollecta. Dahlia Berner Oberland. I grew that for the first time last year. Loved it. The Peach Bellini Dahlia collection, which looks very beautiful. And Burlesca. Copper Boy. Molly Raven, which I've grown for years now and I really love. Dahlia as Peonies collection, and the Millie Proust Dahlia collection as well. So I've got a nice mix of things. And I always tend to order my dahlia tubers on New Year's Eve. That's my kind of tradition. And it's a lovely way to end the year and then start the new year and be thinking about the garden and what I want to grow and all those sorts of lovely things. So what I like to do is I like to use quite tall plant pots like this, and then I pot them up and then I pop them on a sunny windowsill at this sort of time of year. And I find that just gives them a really good head start. Last year I didn't really have the time or space because we don't have windowsills currently because our house is still being renovated. So I just put them in the ground last year and they did okay. They just flower a few weeks later. So if you start them now, you just give them a really good head start. And the other thing that you can do as well is when they start to produce shoots, you can take cuttings from them then and just duplicate your plants. So it's a good way of getting more plants for free, which is always very good. And I would really, really recommend growing dahlias if you've never grown them before. They're quite straightforward to grow, and as long as you pinch them out when they're quite young still, which just encourages them to branch out and produce more flowers, then you just, from sort of late July, early August onwards until the first frost, you just have so many armfuls of beautiful flowers, and they're really, really generous, and they're very interesting and different. So lots of, as you'll have seen from those pictures I popped up before, there's lots of different shapes and colours, and yeah, they're one of my favourite flowers to grow. So I would never ever have a garden without dahlias. But I have quite a few to pot up, so that's going to be my plan for the rest of the morning, I think. And then after that I'm going to go around and pick some bits and bobs from the garden to make an arrangement. In the last few days the narcissi have really got going, and so I think I'm not going to pick any this month, but in my arrangement next month, I think I'm going to do an arrangement just of narcissi. One of the things I'm really enjoying when I read your lovely comments is hearing what you're all up to in your gardens each month. So please let me know in the comments what you're up to in your garden this month. Everyone seems to live in such interesting places. So I've got people commenting who are in the southern hemisphere, and people who live in the desert, or people who live in really snowy, cold places. People who live somewhere completely different to me but very similar climates, and yeah, I really love it. This month for me, well, the next few weeks for me are going to be all about weeding and top dressing and dividing perennials and that sort of thing. So it's a very busy time of year, isn't it? But it's wonderful. It's hard to beat this time of year, and we've just got it all to look forward to as well. That's what I really love about it. That it's all just spring's just stretching out in front of us. It's the best. So it's the next day and I've let these flowers condition for a good long while. And conditioning is just where you put them in water and sometimes sear the ends like I did with the hellebores. And with the hellebores I ran the edge of my secateurs down them, and that just also helps them, because look, they're really deavery, our hellebores. So if you were to just pick them out the ground and then plonk them in an arrangement, they would just flop. So you've got to be really, really careful with them. And I just got all set up for filming, and Johnny's come home and he started sanding our bedroom floor. So I think I'll probably do voiceover for most of this, because you can probably hear it's quite loud inside. He spent this whole weekend up in our bedroom because the previous people who lived here stained it this horrible kind of black colour, the floorboards. And so he spent all weekend sanding the floor, which is just such a miserable job, isn't it? But especially when it's like one of the first lovely spring weekends of the year. So he is a hero. But I'm going to have a little fun now with these different flowers. I think I'm going to start with the catkins and make like the initial shape of the arrangement using those catkins. I've got a lot of hellebores, which would be really nice, and they're all really nice interesting shapes as well, lots of like arching stems and lots of different heights already, which is really good. And then the pulmonaria, which is also called lungwort, which is less of a nice name, isn't it? So I was going with pulmonaria. It's so pretty. I've had it in the garden for years. It kind of grows like a weed here. And I've never thought to pick it and use it in an arrangement before, but I'm quite interested to see how it looks. The leaves are really nice. Let me show you the leaves. Ooh, nice kind of spotty leaves. So I'll, yeah, it's so sweet. So yeah, I will use that as like a little bit of filler at the end to fill in the gaps. I've got one of my favourite bowls. I'm going to lift it really carefully because I don't want the edges to get wet. So I've got one of my favourite flower bowls. This was by a potter called Magnificent Mud, I think she's called. And I really love it. It's a beautiful shape. And this has just got a flower frog in it, and it's got some chicken wire as well, and I'm going to use some pot tape, and I'll just put 2 strips of pot tape across it just to secure it down. And it is definitely worth doing that. The times in the past where I haven't done that, I thought, it'll be fine. It can just pop out because you're fiddling on, with flowers and stems and stuff. So it's definitely worth using pot tape. So I'd highly recommend that. When I did my friend Lucy's wedding last year, I couldn't find this, and I put all of the stuff in like a basket to take to my parents' garage where we did the arranging. And I was like, okay, where's the pot tape? Where's the pot tape? And I had this like major panic. And then Beth, who was the maid of honour, drove up here from my parents' house and scrambled around trying to find it and couldn't find it, and because it had been like the week of the wedding, it was just total chaos. So the flower shed, which is just my garden shed, was just like total chaos. The house was in chaos, and she had to like scrap around in this like, yeah, just it was quite embarrassing. I was like, I'm really sorry. And then we got back and we were looking, and then Lucy's now husband Dagan brought over just some masking tape that he had, like that silver masking tape. And then Beth just looked on a shelf in my parents' garage and was like, is this it? And it was like, oh. So I'll put a picture in, because Lucy took a picture of us in like celebration mode after finding it, so I'll put that in now so you can see. But it was a really good moment. She was she was a hero in that moment. Yeah, so when you put in the pot tape on, it won't stick down if it gets wet. So you've got to be really sure that the top of the pot is dry when you put it down. And it's really annoying because if it's not completely dry, it just peels up, and it's just the most frustrating thing. So yeah, what I tend to do if I'm going to use chicken wire and pot tape is I will put it in and put the chicken wire in the water and the flower frog and everything, which I've done, and fill it with water, and then leave it for a little while so that it's definitely dry around the edges, and then put the pot tape on. It's been so lovely to be out in the garden picking flowers again, because even though I have kept doing my arrangements over the winter, it's quite a different experience, you know, sort of scrabbling around and finding interesting branches and things, compared to going out and picking like a proper big vase of flowers. So it's yeah, it makes a very big difference to your morale. So I just tend to put the pot tape on like this, 2 pieces crossed over each other, and then press down really carefully on the sides. And then I got the hazel catkins and used that to create the initial shape of the arrangement. I really loved how they were dancing out the top like that. I thought they added a lot of natural movement to the arrangement. Then it was time to add the little bits of honeysuckle that I picked. I liked how this looked. Added a little bit of greenery and a little bit more movement as well. Then it was time for the hellebores. These have been really well conditioned and they should then last okay in the vase, even though they are quite temperamental. You can also pick them when they've been pollinated and are a bit older, and that's another way to make them last longer. But I picked them at a mixture of stages and just hope for the best. Some little ones tucked down the bottom. You want to try and cover up that pot tape with flowers. And then it was adding in the pulmonaria. And this just added a nice pop of colour, sort of freshened it up a bit, and some different textural elements as well. And then that was it. I moved it to where I wanted it to be and then just spent a little bit of time fettling, which is kind of my favourite stage really, although sometimes it's good to just step away. And it's just about checking it from a distance and making sure you're happy with it. So that's this arrangement all finished. I'm really pleased with it. I like all the different colours, the burgundies and sort of creams and pinks of the hellebores mixed in with the catkins, the hazel catkins, that kind of creamy yellow, and then there's little pops of blue from the pulmonaria. So I think it's how you pronounce it, pulmonaria. So every time I say it I'm like, am I saying it right? The lungwort. And then yeah, I really like the movement of the honeysuckle coming out of the arrangement as well. I am looking forward to being a bit less of a perfectionist in the future. That's one of my ambitions for this year, is to relax with it a little bit and be satisfied with what I do, rather than being like, oh, could have been better, and nitpicking, because I'm bad at that. But yeah, I'm pleased with it, and it's my first like proper arrangement of the year, I would say, because I did my little snowdrop one, which was nice, but this is my first one with loads of different ingredients, and yeah, I'm really glad that there's flowers again. I enjoyed doing those winter arrangements with sort of branches and sort of like dead things from the garden, and my plan now is to get back into doing my weekly arrangements, which I started doing last year. Like most weeks, I'd sometimes miss the odd week, but based on this idea by Erin at Floret Flower, which she started, which is called A Year in Flowers, which in the growing season she would try and make an arrangement each week with what's growing in the garden, and then she uses the hashtag A Year in Flowers on Instagram, and it's just a way of sort of seeing what's growing every week of the year and getting used to making arrangements of just what you have to hand. And yeah, I really enjoyed doing it last year. It was really interesting, so I'm hopefully going to get back into that this year. But it is Sunday afternoon and I have a few sort of Sunday afternoon jobs to do now. Walking the dogs and tidying the house and yeah, generally just getting ready for the week ahead. But thanks so much for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed watching me make this arrangement. It's very good that it's spring again. I can't tell you how happy I am. It's my favourite season by far, and I think being at this stage in the year, you know, you're in March and you've got it all to look forward to. You know, there's something, I mean, like May and June and are just absolutely glorious, April as well, but there's something about being at the, you know, it hasn't quite, it's just getting started, it hasn't quite got going yet, and you just got it all to look forward to, which is yeah, it's a good feeling, isn't it? So yeah, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.